If you enjoy ghost towns and unusual places and lovely scenery, I believe you'll enjoy today's trip into North Central Oregon. This is part of a 2-hour video where we'll try to see every town and place of interest in North Central Oregon. First we'll travel from Antelope to Highway 97 with a side trip to South Junction, Trout Creek campgrounds, and the old communities of Jersey and Kaskela, and then back to Shaniko. When you go west of Antelope, you pass a couple more old homesteads and a ranch, and then more rocky cliffs. In fact, I like this whole 40-mile strip east and west of here. You'll find some scenic rock formations on almost every mountain you cross, even on the crudest of the back roads. One ranch on the Deschutes River is all there is to South Junction. Jersey is only a small settlement. Kaskela is a private ranch and some summer homes. Next, we'll talk to the man who restored the Shaniko Hotel near the summit of this high desert.
I'm Gene Farrell, owner-operator of the Shaniko Historical Hotel in Shaniko, Oregon. And I bought the place in 1985 and completely restored it from the ground through the roof to get it back to a working hotel. We have a full restaurant here and a gift shop, and 17 rooms upstairs and 1 room down for handicapped people that they can't climb the stairway because we have no elevators. The town was originated about the turn of the century, about 1900, This hotel here was built and started in 1896, 7 or 8 along in there sometime, and finished up in 1900, open for business, built by the Columbia Southern Railroad Company. It was a group of people that run a railroad up from Big Junction down on the Columbia River up to here, and haul the wool out of here. This is the wool shipping capital by some people of the world, inland wool shipping capital. They haul wool clear from as far as California border, Klamath Falls, into here to be shipped out because this was the nearest railhead at that time. It went along and operated very steadily up through about 1917 when they put the railroad in to bend up the Chutes River, which killed us for a railhead at that time when it was really booming. I think there's about 600 people here at the time, lived here in town at the time. Had a full bank and the doctor's offices and all that sort of thing. 2 newspapers, 13 saloons, 3 hotels, and the other ones burnt down. They were made out of wood. This was brick, so it stood the fire. All the buildings in town, except for maybe 1 or 2 little buildings, are all original buildings. And the fire didn't get them. But all the rest of town was either moved out or burnt down by range fires, lightning fires, or however they started. But anyway, we've got a Shaniko Days here on the first weekend of August every year, and the proceeds off from it goes to the restoration of the city-owned buildings, which are the city jail and the city hall, the schoolhouse, and the water tower, which we're trying to get restored back into working, or so people can go in and enjoy them. The hotel we built, we took it and gutted it clear out because it was in pretty bad shape. It sat here for 10 years empty, with the windows broke out, the skylights are leaking, the roof was leaking, and so we took and completely stripped the walls down and put all new plumbing, or had no plumbing in it except for 1 bathroom at the end of the hall that was in pretty bad shape. So we gutted all the walls and the flooring downstairs. The upstairs floor we left, it was in pretty good shape. Of course, there was no wiring, no plumbing, no heating, and all that stuff in here when we took it over, so we had to put all that into it. The windows are all original type, but they're all double pane. They don't exactly go to the pattern of the old windows, but as near as we could make them from what we had to go with. Look, upstairs, all the woodwork upstairs is new. All of the downstairs is all original. All the doors, the stairway, everything is original. The lobby desk is original. And we kept all the original stuff that was here, which was very little, because most of it was all carted off in 1977 when they auctioned the place off. Anything they could move, rip, tear, drag out of here, they sold. The area here, now we have a pretty good crowd through the summertime, but the area here, there's a lot of things to see. You've got the fishing down on the Chutes River, which is about 20 miles away, and the John Day, which is about 20, 25 miles away, and a lot of rock hounding. And I was 65, and it took us a little over 2 or 2.5 years to restore it, because I did most of the work myself. It's tough to hire somebody else up here because you'd have to feed them and lodge them, and the closest place to get them out of would be Madras, which is 40 miles away. So I did most of it myself, because some I contracted out, like the wiring, the hanging of the sheetrock I hired out, and but everything else we done.
Inside of Shaniko's Antique Car Museum is a 1925 Dodge popcorn wagon, an old fire truck, a horse-drawn carriage, and a row of old Chryslers are among the things you'll find in this collection. I believe that the owner of all these interesting old vehicles lives in another state, but the friendly store operator who lives next door opens it up and locks it up each night and keeps an eye out for each of these rare old cars. This truck and the panel in the back are both 1922 Dodges. This is a 1925 Hupmobile and a 1919 Studebaker and a black 1939 Chrysler Imperial. On south from Shaniko is Willowdale, the Pride Ranch, Ashwood, Horse Heaven, and Rajneeshpuram. The village of Willowdale once had a gas station and perhaps even a grocery store. Just one lonely gas pump remains today. There is a good clue as to what happened. If you look behind where the gas station was, you'll see some black burnt trees. About 10 miles to the west there's the remains of a couple of homesteads on Wilson Creek Road. This is really quite a pretty place with some old and interesting equipment laying around. Let's just take a little look around. There's one other old deserted ranch near here that sits back about a quarter-mile off the road also. This is good ghost town country. Just before you get here, the road from Willowdale follows a northern Arizona-style canyon. Isn't it just breathtaking? The ghost town of Ashwood is 17 miles east of Highway 97, just out here in the middle of nowhere. There are a few people living in this community, and I counted a total of about 15 kids in the new schoolhouse. This was at one time a big gold mining town, but the gold vein eventually came to an end. Then fires destroyed most of the buildings. You can see boarded up windows on the old Ash Butte Grange, signs of an earlier day when it was a saloon and dance hall. The old Ash Butte volcano in the background and the first pioneer to move here, a Mr. Wood, gave the town its name, Ashwood. Mr. Wood at first tried farming because the volcanic soil was soft and easily worked. The stream, Trout Creek, was a bountiful source of good water, and with the sunny weather, what more can a man ask for? The only problem he found was that in the summertime the creek dried up, and the soil turned as hard as concrete. So he turned to raising cattle, as most of the early settlers in this area had to do. Eventually other ranchers moved here too, as close as 10 miles away. Then in 1897 a sheep herder picked up a piece of quartz in a gully that led into Trout Creek. It was rich in silver and free gold. It didn't take long before Ashwood became a boom town. The next ghost town up the road, 17 miles further, is Horse Heaven. I found out from a native here why Horse Heaven will probably always remain a total ghost town. The road north to Antelope is okay, but the road east isn't graveled good, and they just had 2 inches of rain when I was here, which turned the road into a mud bog. Plus that, there's a 5-mile downgrade along Cherry Creek. I was told that it's impossible to go there after a good rain. Also, the waitress at the Blueberry Muffin Cafe in Mitchell said that the road scared her nearly to death. There are about 5 abandoned shacks at Horse Heaven, and they look just about like this one in Ashwood. The county grades the road about once every June or July, and that would be the time to visit if you're that brave. On this trip we just went right on north to Muddy Road. It's really the best graveled road in the whole area. It's named for Muddy Creek, which it follows for a couple of miles at Rajneeshpuram. And this is it.
Well, it looks okay so far.
This is almost like a freeway after the other road from Ashwood. Just a little north from this turnoff on the Antelope end is a historic old barn, and someone has painted a sign on it, probably for the Rajneesh cult that was here for a while. It says, "Believe on the Lord Jesus Christ and you shall be saved." A good reminder from someone that no matter how deep we may go into sin and shame, the Lord can always forgive and transform our lives into His own image. After we pass His time of testing, there is no joy on this earth that can match His blessings. It is no secret what God can do. He can solve all your problems, even heal diseases that there's no cure for, like terminal cancer or AIDS. Plus He meets our every need and daily loads us with benefits. All along this road is more of His artwork. How could anybody miss all the beauty that He's put here for us to enjoy? Rajneeshpuram is probably the newest of Oregon's ghost towns. It was just built a few years ago. Then the Rajneesh went back to his own country and everybody else left too. A big rancher from Montana has purchased it. He has some hired hands keeping things maintained, but no immediate plans yet on what he's going to do with all the buildings. This was good cattle grazing land years ago. We even found a herd of antelope still using it today. Next we're going on a little side trip to Gateway, then back through Madras to Metolius and Culver, the Cove Palisades, and the ghost town of Grandview. Gateway is a half-deserted old town that seems to have been forgotten about. It does have a few interesting looking old buildings that seem to bear taking a look at. There's still a little activity here though, because the railroad still runs through town, and we had to stop and wait for the train to go through before we could cross the tracks. Last of all, we'll see the small creek that runs through town, and then on south to Madras again. That's about as far as we've got this month. We're just now getting right near the Smith Rock area, and we've seen some of Oregon's most spectacular scenery. As you can see, there's been a little bit of snowfall over here for the past month or so, and it's kind of hampered our video making a little bit. It did get a little cold, but next week let's go back and finish our trip to the Cove, Smith Rock, and a few more ghost towns, and then on north to Biggs and the Columbia River. Come explore Oregon with me every week. These buildings are at Klondike and Webfoot, a couple of ghost towns near Wasco. You can always check the Weekend Register Guard TV section if you forget the time.